Next from the State Fair, we attend Republican Day and hear from several GOP candidates running for office. This runs about 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present the Congressman from the 18th Congressional District of Illinois and the owner of the best Instagram account in Congress, Representative Aaron Schock.
Thank you, Chairman Schneider. So would now be a good time for a selfie? Is that what you're saying? Well, good afternoon, state of Illinois. You know the sign of a pathetic candidate? One who runs from their voters. And isn't it amazing that we have a Democrat governor who can't work with Democrat lawmakers? We have a Democrat governor who won't even meet with Democrat voters at the Democrat rally on Democrat Day in the State Fair. Well, sometimes you can't make it up. And I don't care what your color or creed, what your political affiliation is, it's time for a change here in Illinois. You know, I don't know if I can blame Pat Quinn. I mean, after being a part of Blagojevich's administration, raising 300 different taxes and fees in their first term on nearly every business and walk of life, after going after the very people who nominated them, voted for them, and endorsed them, and raiding their pension systems, after increasing all of our income taxes by 67%, there's probably not a whole lot left to do other than run and hide. Well, the positive thing for us in Illinois is if we look to our right or we look to our left or we look north or we look south, everyone else seems to be doing a little bit better. So we know it's not our soil. We know it's not our country. We know it's not anything other than bad policymakers in Springfield or wherever they reside. I think it's time we get a governor who will reside in Springfield. I think it's time we get a governor. I think it's time we get a governor who will work with Democrat lawmakers, who will work with Republican lawmakers, and who will show up to the fair and face their voters and ask for their support. We've got that in Bruce Rauner, and that's something we can celebrate here today. Now, the lovely press that's out here in the audience today, you know, they always like to create division and controversy. And so they're asking everybody about Pat Quinn and about Bruce Rauner. You know, when 50% of the state in the latest Gallup poll says they would prefer to leave the state, I'm not sure we have to talk any more about Pat Quinn versus Bruce Rauner. Enough said? Time for a change? We've got a guy who was born in Illinois, who was raised in Illinois, who's got a family in Illinois, who started a business and has created jobs in Illinois. And I, for one, believe it is time for Illinois to stop exporting its jobs and start exporting its governor. Now, you know, as your congressman, I get the privilege of going out to our U.S. Capitol and working. And I have to tell you, for the 6 years that Barack Obama has been our president, I feel like the Illinois way has infected Washington, D.C. Higher taxes, higher debt, higher unemployment, and people just not feeling so great about America. Even our friends and allies around the world are beginning to question where we stand. And we have a leader there, unfortunately, who believes he can lead from behind. Now, that's news to me. I always thought leadership was not a headlamp, or not a tail lamp, but a headlamp, right? And we've learned that when our leaders don't lead, it's not our friends and neighbors who lead, but actually the enemies who lead. And if you look at the federal office or you look at the state offices, you know the outcome of elections have serious consequences, both internationally and domestic. And if you think campaigns are costly, if you think campaigns are expensive, try bad government. We know in Illinois bad elections and bad outcomes are really expensive for us personally and for the businesses we work for. It's time we elect somebody who understands the business of governing. It's time we understand that we elect somebody who understands the business of creating jobs and growing our economy. And we also need to hold the line out in Washington, D.C. And so in addition to going out and voting for Bruce Rauner and all the Republicans down the ticket, I want to tell you one other thing. I need help out in Washington, D.C. The difference between Nancy Pelosi coming back and holding the gavel and Republicans being the last line of defense against the Obama regime is 15 seats. And let me tell you, they're looking at Illinois to try and pick them up. Rodney Davis is one of the top targets in the nation. And if you want to send a message to Nancy Pelosi and you want to send a message to Barack Obama that we don't like their policies, we want to check and balance, and we like Rodney Davis, go out and bust your butt between now and November to get him elected. That goes for Mike Bost in Southern Illinois, Bobby Schilling in Western Illinois, and all the way up to Darlene Singer and Bob Dole in Northern Illinois. We've got great candidates to be proud of. Thank you for what you're doing here today, and let's bring back Illinois. God bless.
Great job, Congressman. You know, the Republican National Committee was in Chicago last week. That tells you something. They held their summer meeting in Chicago. They know this is a battleground for the elections in November. They know about Bruce Rauner. They know about our candidates up and down the ticket. And on Wednesday night last week, I got to sit with Governor Mike Pence from Indiana because he was a keynote speaker. And I just went right up to him. I said, Governor, why are you taking all our jobs from Illinois? And he said, Chairman, because I can. And they are. They're taking all our jobs away, but they're going to come back under Bruce Rauner. Okay. Now for those of you who are here from Springfield, you know that you got one of the tightest races in our congressional races this fall. As Aaron had mentioned, Congressman Rodney Davis has been doing an incredible job in Washington, and we're going to make sure that he returns to Washington in November. At this time, I'd like to introduce Congressman Rodney Davis.
Hey, let's give Chairman Schneider a round of applause for doing a great job. Who said Republicans are dead in Illinois? No one. Look at this crowd. This is awesome. You know, it's pretty tough to follow Aaron Schock. True. You're blind. But you know what? Aaron is such a great leader. He's somebody who has been such a true friend to me in Washington. And you know the old saying, if you need a friend in Washington, get a dog. Well, my wife and kids won't let me take my dog to Washington, but I got to tell you, good friends like Aaron Schock and the leadership that they provide, not only this district, this county where we are blessed enough to share it together, but the leadership that he provides in this great nation is just innumerable and thanked. I can't thank you enough, Aaron, for being a good friend, and I can't thank you enough for what you do. Springfield, thank Aaron Schock for what he does. And you know, my daughter happens to be a cheerleader, and she told me, Dad, you can either look really cool at this or you can be really embarrassed. But we got enough people here today that we got to start, and we got to make sure that this crowd is ready for change, right? Are we ready to dump Pat Quinn? Yeah. All right, when I say dump, you say Quinn. Dump! Quinn. Dump! Quinn. Elect! Rauner. Elect! Rauner. Dump! Quinn. Elect! Rauner. Thank you, Springfield. Hey, it is a privilege to be a small-town kid from Taylorville, Illinois, and be able to walk the halls of Congress and represent Springfield in Washington. It is a privilege to be a member of Congress, and it is a privilege to be a Republican. And we are going to fight the fight right here in Springfield, right in this fairgrounds today to make sure Nancy Pelosi never gets that speaker's gavel again. And we are going to make sure that we are ground zero for the cleansing of the Democrats in Illinois right here in Springfield. I need your help. You're the beginning of the fight. And there's nobody that can fight better for Republicans than the Sangamon County Republican Party. No one. And when I talk about fighting, there's nobody more courageous and a bigger fighter than the next person that we have addressing us here today. Somebody who not only has been a hero and a servant, a public servant, for our values and our principles for a while, but somebody who has faced his own health problems and has shown the courage, and he has shown the greatness, and he's shown the ability to fight like we Republicans need to fight this year better than anybody that I know. And I am proud to call him my senator. I'm proud to call him my friend. And I want to introduce to everyone our Senator Mark Kirk.
Let me start out slow. My name is Mark Kirk, and I'm the fiscally conservative Republican you sent to replace Barack Obama in the Senate. Thank you, guys. You know, it's a Kirk event. I brought my own homework. So many of you got this rating system, which shows the credit rating of Illinois equal to Kazakhstan's. When we talk to our undecided voters, we tell them that we need the Republican Party and its Illinois fiscal conservatives to spend less to restore the financial structure of Illinois. Once we do that, we won't be number 50 out of 50. That the case that I want you to make is we need Illinois Republicans to be going to office as fiscal conservatives, to cut spending, to end this waste of debt that we see under Governor Quinn. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys. So let me take a moment and ask my fellow veterans to be recognized. If you served in the United States Army, please stand and be recognized. Yeah, thank you, thank you. If you served in the United States Air Force, please stand and be recognized. Thank you guys. If you served in the finest Navy to ever sail the seven seas, my Navy veterans, please stand up. Thank you, guys. You know, without these guys who are standing up, we would all be speaking German or Japanese, and my Japanese is so good that, yeah. Thank you, our fellow veterans. We just passed a good bill for you out there. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Yeah. That's it. Let me hear a hoo-ah from the Marines out there that I didn't mention.
Ah! Thank you so much, Senator Kirk. As you know as well as I do, there's nothing Senator Kirk would love more than to have a partner in the U.S. Senate that's going to fight by his side and clean up Washington and get us back on the right track. It's my honor at this time to introduce to you the man who's going to beat Dick Durbin, Jim Oberweis.
How would you like to send a message to the career politicians in Washington, D.C.? Not a little message, but a very loud, we've had enough message. And we can do that. We've had enough of borrowing money from China to pay for programs we don't need. Enough of the government telling us which health care plan we can buy, which doctor we can see, which light bulb we have to buy, and which new tax we're going to have to pay for. Enough of politicians dividing us. Enough of failure. Since Mr. Durbin last ran for office 6 years ago, the average family in Illinois is now earning $5,013 less. That needs to change. That's a perfect example of the failed policies of the Democrats in Washington, which is kind of a massive example of what's going on in Illinois. If you send me to Washington, I'll work on 4 things: repealing and replacing Obamacare, with a health care plan that will cover more people, give us more choices, and do it at a much lower cost to taxpayers, and do it on a bipartisan basis. Secondly, I work to simplify the tax code so that we can all understand what's going on, and so that companies want to start businesses and create jobs in Illinois and in the United States, and not even think about moving to other countries. Thirdly, I'll work to balance our budget, bring our spending under control. It won't be easy. It won't be done in 1 or 2 years. Paul Ryan has put a plan out there to do it over the next 10 years. It can be done. It must be done, or the younger generation that are here will have much less economic opportunities than all of us had before. Fourth, term limits. I help support I'm told I was the largest volunteer circulator of the term limits petition for Illinois. I'll take the same idea to Washington. If 8 years is enough for the President of the United States, 8 years is enough for Congress, 2 terms is enough for the U.S. Senators. Let me real quickly just tell you a little about our campaign, and then I'll get off the stage. The polls have become increasingly interesting. 3 months ago, I was trailing by 14 points. 3 weeks ago, by 9 points. The latest polls have it at 7 points. And among voters who've truly made up their minds, according to the very right-wing conservative publication called the New York Times, the ratio is 39 Durbin, 36 Oberweis. That's 3 points. That's very, very doable. Let me quickly tell you, too, what we're doing in our campaign. I've been endorsed by Pastor Corey Brooks, who is here somewhere. I don't see him at the moment, but he's here, who's the pastor of New Beginnings Church in Chicago. Let me tell you, this is a guy who believes that government is not the answer. We need to take individual initiative. Government can help, government can get things started, but we need to take responsibility and make things happen ourselves. I love the guy. He's a great guy. Some of you may recognize him from the name that the newspapers used, the Rooftop Pastor. This is a guy who had a church on about 6500 South Martin Luther King, and there was a motel across the street that was frequently used for prostitution, drug sales, and he wanted to see that stopped. He sat up on the roof of that motel until people donated enough money to tear it down so that we could build a new facility there and get rid of it. And it took him 3 months sitting in Chicago on the rooftop, but he got it done. Pastor Corey Brooks, raise your hand out there, will you? Thank you. And let me also tell you, he's now started what he calls Brothers on the Blocks. And with that, he's trying to get 5,000 men to stand out on the 500 highest crime corners in the city of Chicago to try to get rid of some of the violence in Chicago. And I can tell you, I have been out with him at the corner of 79th and Cottage Grove for the last 3 or 4 Fridays, and I'm going to be out there again tomorrow night. You know, on Tuesday this week, I was standing outside Navy Pier, handing out our literature, asking people for votes, and got a reasonably friendly response. But when I stand out at the corner of 79th and Cottage Grove, we get an incredibly warm response. People are saying, well, I don't know if I've ever seen a white Republican on this corner before, but I love it. Thank you for coming out. I'm going to vote for you. And that is fantastic. That's what we've got to do. We have to reach out. We have great things in common. People on the south side of Chicago are like people all over the state. They're concerned about jobs, they're concerned about education, and they're concerned about violence in their communities. I've created jobs Mr. Durbin never has. He's become a millionaire at government expense. I've supported choice in education. Mr. Durbin doesn't. He helped kill a program in Washington, D.C. that offered parents choice. And I'm trying to help Pastor Brooks in the program to reduce violence. We're doing some of the right things. The Republicans haven't worked at that very hard before. And I will tell you, Bruce Rauner is doing some of the very same things to make inroads in the African American community. Think how this state is going to look in January when we have 2 Republican senators, a Republican governor, and several more Republican congressmen. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate your help. We're going to close with one thing slightly different. I'm going to ask for a little audience participation. Please repeat after me. Millionaire. Career politician. Dick Durbin. Must go. Once more. Millionaire. Career politician. Dick Durbin must go. Thank you all very much, and God bless America. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Really appreciate you being here. Pastor Brooks, thank you for all you're doing for the children in Chicago. Yesterday, if you hadn't noticed, there were a couple people missing from the crowd here yesterday. Notably, Speaker Mike Madigan and Senator John Cullerton. Apparently, they couldn't be bothered enough to be here. And you know why that is. It's because they know that Pat Quinn is as bad for Illinois as we know that he's bad for Illinois. Well, in Illinois, we've got 2 great leaders leading our House and our Senate, and they're not afraid to be here. So let's welcome the leader of the Illinois House, Jim Durkin.
Thank you. It's Durkin with a K, all right? D-U-R-K-I-N. I always have to remind people of that after Jim Oberweis speaks, but thank you so much, and it's great to be here. And Tim, thank you for putting on a great event. I will tell you, in all my years that I've been coming, that this is the finest, the greatest turnout, but you can feel the enthusiasm like I've never felt in my life. Thank you so much. Because change is coming, folks. November's coming, 80 days out. But it is truly an honor to share a stage with great leaders like Tim, and also all the men and women who will be speaking, who have spoken, who will be speaking, but more importantly, with the next governor of the state of Illinois, Bruce Rauner, and the next lieutenant governor of Illinois, Evelyn Sanguinetti. Our ticket from top to bottom, and with the help of Tim Schneider, we're working tirelessly to turn this troubled state around. And the teamwork, I will tell you folks, the teamwork with the state party, our nominees in both the House and the Senate is unprecedented. When people say, when is the Republican Party going to get together and be on the same message? We are, folks, and it feels great. You're supposed to clap. Come on. Here, thank you. All right. All right, I'm going to keep it 2 minutes. I'm going to move quick. All right, guys, 10 years. 10 years of one-party rule. The Democrats have run this state for 10 years. And what have they done? They have run this state into the ground. The state of Illinois. Shame on them. I was born and raised in Illinois. I love this state. Illinois is worth fighting for. What do you think? I like it. Very good. Now, one of my jobs as the House Minority Leader is to win seats. And with your help, we will break Mike Madigan's cold iron grip on state government. When we do that, we will let Bruce Rauner govern. And Chris Redonio and myself will have Bruce's back. What do you think? Now, think about this. Mike Madigan has been the Speaker of the Illinois House of Representatives since 1983. Let's go back to 1983. Let's see. That is when the last DeLorean automobile was put on the production line. The last episode of MASH. And in 1983, the Chicago Cubs had managers of Lee Elia and Charlie Fox. How did that work out, sports fans? I don't think so. Not too well. But I tell you what, folks, some things get better with age, and some things clearly don't. Boy, do we need a change in the House of Representatives. We're going to get it with your help. We're going to do it because I've got so many great members of the House of Representatives who are here, so many great candidates, and if they could just raise their hands and just show that they're here, all right, thank you. And I tell you what, we've got great nominees, and they will be on the stage with me next January when we get sworn in, when we break Mike Madigan's cold iron grip on state government. Folks, our families are fleeing the state. Job creators are fleeing the state. But don't listen to yesterday's rosy picture of Illinois portrayed by the Democrats. Because you know what? It looks and smells like what's coming out of one of these barns over here over my left shoulder. But folks, this is our time. It will not be easy, but let's get it done for the next generation and the many, many other generations following us. We've got 80 days. Let's get to work. Let's get it done. Thank you. God bless.
Great job, Leader Durkin. You know, I was at my business about 2 weeks ago, and I heard two guys arguing over in a corner, and I walked over and I said, "Hey, what are you arguing about?" "Oh, we're arguing about politics." "Well, politics? Well, that's something I know a little bit about." I said, "Are any of you members of any organized political party?" And one guy said, "No, we're Illinois Republicans." And I'm telling you, this year it's different. This year it's different. The state party, as Jim said, the House Republican organization, the state Republican organization, all these campaigns, we're all under one big tent, just like you see over there. We're all working together on all cylinders. We're the same DeLorean that Jim was talking about, but we're all packed in that engine, and we're all steaming ahead to victory on November 4th. At this time, we've got a great leader in our Illinois Senate on the Republican side. I'd like to introduce to you a great leader from Lamont, Christine Radogno.
Well, thank you, everyone. I am acutely aware that I am the middle of the program. So there's not a lot to be said different from what you've heard from our great federal candidates, and you'll be hearing from our statewide candidates who are on the ballot. So add to that the weather, the food, the enthusiasm we have here today, and we have a winning recipe, that's for sure. Now, my one word of caution is this. It all looks good today. We sound so much better than the Democrats yesterday, who were just whining and figuring out more ways to extract money from Illinois families so that people have a harder time supporting their own families. There's a huge difference here, and we're flying high right now. But that enthusiasm is not enough to equate to victory in November. We have to keep our pedal to the metal. We have to get out there and work. Every single one of you here today is as important as the candidates that are here. You are the ones that are going to get your neighbors, your family members, your friends, those people who are so disgusted with what this state has become and know it can become so much better. People are ready to hear that message. We need to be sure they get out and that message translates to votes to elect a two-party system back into this state. So thank you all for what I know you'll be doing.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for all you do to lead Illinois in the right direction. Folks, we've got an important race ahead of us here for state treasurer in Illinois, somebody that you may all know is our candidate for treasurer in Illinois. It's a big race, because this is the person who determines where your money goes and where it's invested, and a lot more than that, and he's going to tell you about that in just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you our candidate for state treasurer, Representative Tom Cross.
How's everybody doing? It's a good day. It's going to get better. And you can imagine when you run for a statewide office, you travel the state. That's what you do. And as I travel the state, whether I'm up in Bobby Schilling's area or Aaron Schock or Rodney Davis or down where Mike Bost is, people are struggling. They're worried about jobs. They're worried about making their mortgage payment. They're worried about college. They're worried about health insurance, you name it. And it's not easy out there right now, and especially not easy in this state. And I think what disgusts people and frustrates people and makes them angry is that they have seen that other states have done better, didn't see their elected officials put them in the position they're in, and they know we can do better. But what bothers them is that the Democrats in this state want to resort to failed policy. They're, in effect, doubling down on failed policies of the past. And I'll use my opponent as an example of what most all of the Democrats are talking about. I'm running against a state senator. His name is Mike Frericks. In Springfield, he's known as Tax Hike Mike. And he's known as Tax Hike Mike because he was for the temporary tax, wants to make it permanent. He's voted to raise property taxes. He's voted to raise taxes on services such as your dry cleaning, your yoga class, your babysitter, the guy that comes to fix your water heater. The list goes on, and one of his biggest allies is even for raising taxes on retirement income. And this comes from an individual, this comes from Tax Hike Mike, who we just found out the other day hadn't paid his property taxes in the last 2,400 days. And the only reason he paid his property taxes is the other day is he got caught. So Mike Frericks, Tax Hike Mike, doesn't mind raising your taxes. He just doesn't want to pay his own. And that has to stop. And what we need to do in the treasurer's race and in the legislative races, and starting at the top, is holding elected officials accountable. Accountability is critical. If we're fortunate enough to get elected treasurer, we're going to do something that hasn't been done in a number of years. We're going to enforce the Constitution. Our Constitution simply says, balance your budget. Kind of a unique concept in Illinois government. Don't spend more than you have. Doesn't say, I hope you get close, give it the old college try, start working on it. It says balance your budget, just like everyone in this crowd has to do. You also have a responsibility to follow the law and follow the Constitution. And if that means as treasurer that the General Assembly or the governor do not follow the Constitution, that means we have to take them to court to enforce the Constitution and balance the budget and live within our means. We will do that on day one. It's that important. A couple other things we want to do are working in the areas of transparency and creating a government integrity unit. And we can talk to you more about that. But at the end of the day, Senator Rodonio was dead on. We feel good today. We're working hard. It's exciting. There's energy in the air, and that's good. But we have a long, long way to go. The Democrats are worried about this election. They went so far as to change the election code the last day of session to allow for same-day voter registration without identification. They're putting ballot initiatives up on the ballot just on an advisory referendum to turn out the vote. They are nervous, but they work hard. They'll play games. They'll do whatever it takes. We can't let up. As I said this morning at the County Chairman's Association meeting, Tommy Lasorda was a great manager for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He used to always tell his players in spring training, when you're rounding third heading home, don't look back, because if you look back, you're going to be thrown out at home plate. You don't look back till you cross home plate. We as Republicans can't look back until we cross the plate on Election Day. This is a good year for us. It's a great state. We love this state. There are a lot of great things going for it. We need to take it back, and we take it back by winning on November 4th. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
All right, thank you very much, Representative Cross. Now, this is a woman who probably doesn't need an introduction, but we're gonna introduce her anyway. Come on up, ladies and gentlemen, our State Comptroller, Judy Bar Topinka.
Well, it's pretty hard to say anything that you have not overheard. But let me tell you, there's two things in life, winning and losing. And winning is a lot better. All right? A lot better. And I expect everybody out here to make sure Republicans are winning. It's time. You can see it right out here. You can feel it in the air. We're ready to roll. And I tell you, I haven't felt this good about the party in a long, long time. I've seen it come and go. Look at this crowd. Look at the enthusiasm. You're excited. The momentum is ours. As we get into the final weeks of the election, now is the time. And I really ask you to help my friend Tom Cross, because the two of us have the fiscal offices. And until we get those offices combined and save $12 million a year, Okay? We need to work together, and I can't think of a better pair to handle the fiscal conservative ways of the Republican Party than Tom and me. So just as important, not only do we have Republicans coming our way, but the independents are coming our way. Even, if you will believe it, Democrats are fed up with their own party, and they're coming our way. All right? So, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Vegetarian, whatever. This is where it's at. We all recognize that dramatic change is needed in Illinois, and there's no one better to make that change happen for small government, fiscally conservative Republican candidates, and that's what we have. They watch the money, and believe me, you cannot spend what you don't have. What's not to understand about that already? Jeez. All right. This is our time, and we have to keep that momentum going. We have to keep knocking on doors and talking to people and getting them out and making sure that they're on election day. Believe me, it's no good if they want to be Republican. It's no good if they want a good ticket elected. If they're going to stay home, you got to get them out on election day. So talk to your friends, your family, your neighbors. Tell them what's at stake. We do have to take Illinois back, and this is the way to do it. With us, the Republican Party of Illinois, never stronger, never better, working together, we are going to make November 4th a big red letter day. So you get ready for it, because here we come. God bless you all. Go for it.
Thank you very much, Judy. We've got a great race for Secretary of State here in Illinois, which really means more in your life than you might think. Everything from the DMV to our state's business climate. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you our candidate for Secretary of State, Mike Webster. Mike.
Good afternoon. What a great turnout. The only thing that's going to be better is next year when we're here on Governor's Day instead of Republican Day. But part of the reason why I'm here today is probably part of the reason why all of you guys are here today too. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with what's going on in Springfield with the politicians, not the citizens. I'm fed up with sending my money to the state and not getting what I deserve. I'm not a career politician. A lot of you guys know me already, but I'm an attorney, CPA, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and I'm just a regular Illinois guy. I've volunteered on my local school board. That's the extent of my political background. But the Democrats, the one-party rule in this state, isn't working. And I said I have to step up and do something. Everybody says Quinn, Madigan. I'd like to throw White into that name too. Actually, I'd like to throw the entire Democratic Party into that. It's not working here in Illinois. I'm an attorney accountant, so I kind of like numbers, and I talk numbers to my clients all the time. So I want to tell you guys about a couple of numbers here. Between my opponent and myself, we have been on the salaries public payroll for 71 years. When you add the two of us together. For that same period of time, 71 years, our public pensions are being built with taxpayer money. And actually at some times, one of us was collecting two government salaries at the same time. 71 years, that's over 7 decades on the public payroll. And let me break that down for you further. My opponent, Jesse White, he's been doing it for 71 years. Me, none. It's time for a clean break here in Illinois. We need some people in Springfield that aren't the career politicians. So you have a stark choice here in November. You can elect the career politician who's here to help serve his buddies, the other career politicians, or you can elect someone who has no ties to the corrupt, broken Illinois political system. It's time for a clean break in Illinois. 4 things I'm going to do when I get elected and we take over this office right away. First and foremost, we're going to change that image of the Secretary of State's office and work towards that, changing that image in Springfield that we are corrupt and that we are broken. We're going to operate the Secretary of State's office for everybody in the state of Illinois, all the citizens of Illinois, not just the chosen few. We need to change that. We need to get rid of the political patronage and cronyism. I'm tired of reading the newspaper and watching the news, listening about how the politicians or their hires are getting indicted. We're done with the Derek Smiths. We're done with the Marlene Lisses. The Secretary of State's office will be accountable, and we will have integrity in that office. Second, we're going to keep these roads safe in Illinois. We're going to make them safer. If you drive a truck on the roads of Illinois, you're going to be qualified to drive that truck, and you're going to be trained to drive that truck. No more shortcuts on the training. No more looking the other direction when something's wrong. We're going to enforce the rules of the road for everybody. And if you drink and you drive on the Illinois roads, I don't care who your lawyer is, how much money you have, you're not going to get away with it. We're going to make the roads of Illinois safer. I've got 4 daughters, 2 of which are driving on the road and 2 who have their permits. It scares me to death when they go out there. I want to make sure the roads are safe for all of us to drive. And third, a lot of people think of the Secretary of State as the driver's license and the roads. There's 21 other departments in the Secretary of State's office, and one of them is the business services. I will be an advocate for the entrepreneurs and the job creators in Illinois, and not part of the bureaucratic nightmare that business people have to put up with in the Secretary of State's office. I will be an advocate for the policies that help these job creators. We've spent way too much time pushing our businesses out of the state of Illinois. The Secretary of State, as the Secretary of State, I'll use that bully pulpit to get the legislator and the governor to sign the laws that will help the businesses in Illinois and bring businesses back to Illinois. And the fourth thing I want to do is we need to innovate the Secretary of State's office. We're technologically years behind. Mr. White, the internet is here to stay, okay? We can get the Secretary of State's office up and running. The website is not user-friendly. There's a lot of issues. We've already got people working on it in my campaign. We're going to roll out some really neat stuff. We're starting on day 1. A lot of people tell me that we can't change things. I don't believe it. That's why I got in the race. And I believe we can. I believe we can bring honesty and integrity and public service back to the Illinois. I'm going to do it with your help. So please vote for me. Join me on April 4th to vote for November 4th to vote for the straight ticket, everybody that's up here today. We're going to make things change. It's time for a clean break. Thank you.
Mike, thank you very much. Now we've got a very important candidate here with us today. Our nominee for Attorney General has an incredible story, not only from his service to us in Iraq as part of the trail of Saddam Hussein, and if you don't know the full story, I encourage you to say hi to him today and check out his website. But today, we've got a gentleman running against Lisa Madigan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Paul Schimpf.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, good afternoon, folks. My name is Paul Schimpf, and I'm running for Illinois Attorney General because our state desperately needs an Attorney General who's not beholden to the insiders and special interest groups in either political party. Now, one of the reasons I'm running for Attorney General is I believe we need more out of the Attorney General's office. You know, I believe that public corruption is the #1 threat our state faces. I think that public corruption needs to be the Attorney General's office's #1 priority. Unfortunately, our current Attorney General, Lisa Madigan, appears to have what I call an ABC plan for the Attorney General's office, the ABC standing for anything but corruption. In fact, Lisa Madigan, as Attorney General, has even worked on climate change. You believe that? Well, you know, actually, let's give credit where credit's due. The climate in Illinois is changing, but it's not the kind of climate change that Lisa Madigan is expecting. The political climate in Illinois is about to change. predict that climate change is going to be catastrophic for Quinn and the Madigan family. Thanks to Bruce Rauner. Now, most of you that know me by now, you know that I had been in Iraq. I had worked the Saddam Hussein trial, and I was the lead American attorney advisor on that. And all I want to say right now about that whole event is just, once you've dealt with the ace of spades in Iraq, corruption in Illinois just doesn't seem so intimidating anymore. Now, earlier this week, Lisa Madigan's campaign had put out a statement saying that Lisa Madigan's record speaks for itself. And like I said, we want to give credit where credit's due, and they're actually spot on with that. Her record does speak for itself. You see, 12 years ago, over a decade ago, Lisa Madigan ran for Attorney General saying that she was going to fight corruption. She ran on an anti-corruption platform. But I think we all know, Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, progressives, we all know that over the past 12 years, our state has gotten more corrupt and more dysfunctional. So yes, Lisa Madigan's record speaks for itself. Lisa Madigan also was in a position to provide oversight on Governor Quinn's failed neighborhood recovery initiative. She could have provided oversight, and she did not do so. Yes, her record does speak for itself. Now, before I was an attorney in the Marine Corps, I was an infantry officer. So I know a little bit about fighting, and I just want to say that I am honored to fight alongside Bruce Rauner, Tim Snyder, all of our great statewide candidates. We've got a great team. We're going to sink and swim together, and I am honored to fight beside them. Yes. But let me finish up today by telling you one last story that'll make you think, you know what? Paul Schimpf might just be crazy enough to pull this off. You see, when I finished up my time in the Marine Corps, I was a lieutenant colonel at the Pentagon. It's very easy to transition from being a lieutenant colonel into a big civilian defense contracting job, and a lot of people do that. But unlike everybody else that's taking their pensions and leaving the state of Illinois, my wife Lori and I wanted to come back here. We wanted to come back because Illinois is the state that we both grew up in, it's the state that we love, and it's the state that we want our two little boys to grow up in. It also just happens to be the state that I want to fight to help save. You see, our state needs more out of the Attorney General's office. This election is going to be a referendum on Lisa Madigan's tenure in office and also our political system that has failed Illinois. We need competence, not connections. We need message, not money. We need leadership, not political lineage. You see, when I hung up my uniform for the last time after 24 years on active duty, it didn't change who I am. I believe you have a duty to serve your country, your state, and your community. Well, my service in the Marine Corps is done, but I want to continue serving the state of Illinois. I want to give our state what it desperately needs: an Attorney General who's not beholden to the insiders and special interest groups, an Attorney General who is a prosecutor, not a career politician, and an Attorney General who is a Marine, not a Madigan. Thank you and God bless.
Great job, Paul. Thanks so much. Let's everybody get behind all these statewide candidates and our House and Senate leaders and elect Republicans in November. Hey, we've got a great candidate for Lieutenant Governor in Illinois. Many of you have met her. She's a wonderful lady out of Wheaton. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you our candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Evelyn Sanguinetti.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so everybody raise their hands. Who wants their state back? ¿Quién quiere el estado de nuevo? I want my state back. This is a very, very special time for my family and I. And it's because over the last 6 years, and I apologize to my kids already, this is our family tradition, coming to this place. And actually 4 years ago, my daughter and I were on this very stage, rooting on the Republican Party. Well, my kids raised their hands back there. Come on, guys, raise your hands. Thank you. I think we all know that as Republicans, we're working very hard, not just for us, but for our children, and to afford a backdrop for them so that they could find opportunities here rather than have to leave the state of Illinois to find opportunities. Is that not the case? Is that not the case? Very true. And so that's why I joined in. You know, you folks know my history. I came from very humble beginnings. My mother is a refugee from Fidel Castro's Cuba. My father is from Guayaquil, Ecuador. And they came to the United States to live the American dream so that they could offer their children the American dream and we could all get a world-class education, every single one of us, because that's what we each deserve in Illinois. Is that not the case? Indeed. Indeed. And that's why Bruce and I, after we won the primary, we were so jazzed up. And our philosophy of government was very simple, but it appeals to both parties because our tent is big enough. And that message was, más trabajo, more jobs, menos impuestos, less taxes, mejor educación, a better education for all, y límites en término para políticos de toda una vida, term limits for career politicians. Thank you. And it is with that message that we did well in the primary, and it is with that message that we will do excellent this November, and we will bring back Illinois. Vamos a traer de vuelta Illinois. Glad to be here today, and let's take our state back. Yes? Yes!
Thank you, Evelyn. All right, we got it back there. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you very much. Hey, we've got a real special treat. We're going to turn this up here a little bit. There we go. We've got a real special treat for you now. We all know that the governor's race in November is going to make a major difference in the future of all people of Illinois. So what better person to remind us of what's at stake and what kind of future we can have here in Illinois than someone who's done it himself. Not long ago, Illinois had a government we didn't have to be ashamed of. It was an example of fiscal restraint and good budgeting, jobs, and growth in Illinois. I believe that's an example we can achieve again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to welcome back to the stage the 38th governor of the state of Illinois, Jim Edgar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you. This is a great turnout. And you know, we had a pretty spirited primary and a lot of races, but that's passed. We're now all united as one Republican Party that's going to win in November. And it's important that we win and we're united because we have an important task before us. For over a decade, Illinois has been ruled by one party, the Democrats, and it hadn't worked very well. The Blagojevich-Quinn governorship has been a disaster for Illinois. We have an opportunity this November to end one-party rule by electing Bruce Rauner governor of Illinois. We have an opportunity this November to bring back effective leadership to the governor's office by electing Bruce Rauner governor of Illinois. We have the opportunity come November to give Illinois a fresh start by electing Bruce Rauner as governor of Illinois. And to me, most importantly, we have the opportunity this November to again make Illinois a state we're proud to call our home by electing Bruce Rauner as governor of Illinois. It is my pleasure to support, and it's my honor today to introduce, with your help, the next governor of the state of Illinois, Bruce Rauner.
Thank you so much. This is our year. This is our election. We're going to sweep Pat Quinn into the dustbin of history. Pat Quinn is gone this year. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your patriotism. It's your commitment, it's your hard work that's going to make democracy restored and democracy work again for all the families of Illinois. This is our year. We're going to restore the two-party system in Illinois so we can have a vibrant, prosperous future and restore the pride of Illinois. You know what? The Republican Party is the party of America. The Republican Party stands for limited government, low taxes, individual liberty, personal responsibility. Those are the founding principles. Those are the founding principles of the Republican Party, and those are the founding principles of America. Those are the principles that make America the greatest nation in the history of the world. And we're going to bring those principles back to Illinois and run the government in Springfield for the benefit of all the people again, not the special interest groups, not the lobbyists and career politicians. We're going to turn this around. I'm here to make you a promise. I'm here to promise two things to you and every family in Illinois. Number one, we are going to win this governor's race and knock Pat Quinn and his corrupt cronies out of office. And number two, we are going to rebuild the Republican Party from the grassroots up so we are strong and dominant and a powerful competitor in every race, in every election, up and down the ballot, every cycle going forward. And I'm here to tell you that together we're going to make that happen. That's my commitment to you. I'm also going to commit something else pretty unusual in Illinois. I'm actually going to move to Springfield and live in the governor's residence. This is the people's house. This is the people's house. We all own it. It's an honor, and it should be a sign of respect to live in that house. And I want to be here to run the government from Springfield. This is the state capital. This is where the government should be based and where it should be run from. Now, some of you guys who know contractors are going to have to help me because we got to fix the roof and pump out the basement. You know what? Our current governor takes care of our governor's residence the way he takes care of our economy. He lets it get destroyed by neglect and abuse. We're not going to let that happen anymore. I'm honored to come here and go to work for you, and I'm a worker. Nobody's going to outwork us in this campaign, and nobody's going to outwork us in turning our state around. We're going to assemble the most talented team of people from around the state of Illinois and dramatically turn our government around so it's run for your benefit. It's efficient, effective, and transparent. Run for the benefit of all the working families in Illinois again. Yeah, thank you. Now, some of you know that my wife and I bought a prize steer on Tuesday. It's an honor to do that. My mom's family is in the livestock business, and you know what? We bought a steer, a prize steer. Now, you know what? I bet Pat Quinn and his Chicago Machine political allies don't even know what a steer is. You know what? A steer is a castrated bull. You know what? But I tell you, Pat Quinn and his cronies and his corrupt patrons workers, they do know bull. You hear Pat Quinn generate a lot of bull when he's talking about his failed record on jobs, on taxes, on schools. We are going to transform this. You know what? Farmers know something real important.
Farmers know that when you've got a crop planted in the field, the same crop, year after year, same crop, you know what happens? Deterioration, no productivity, and ultimately the land gets damaged. You know what it's time for, folks? It's time to rotate our crops in Springfield. Pat Quinn and his buddy Rod Blagojevich and all their corrupt machine has been controlling Springfield for 12 years. Too long. Time to rotate them out of office and bring in fresh leadership, new ideas, and transform the government. We are going to get that done. It's with your help. It's with your help we're going to rotate our crops for the entire state of Illinois. You know, I got my values from my grandfather. My grandfather was a dairy farmer, corn farmer. He believed in hard work. He'd put $3 in the collection plate on Sunday morning, even when $3 was a little hard to come by. He taught me 3 things in life. He said, Bruce, always work your hardest, give 100% your best effort, get a great education, it's a key to your future, and give back in your community. Because we all need some help, and we don't do it through big government bureaucracy. We do it through our families helping each other and through our community organizations and our churches. And that's the way my wife and I have tried to live. We build schools and libraries and churches and the Red Cross and the YMCA. We give back. I'm a middle-class kid who's worked hard and done good, and I'm proud of my success. I'm living the American dream, and I want the American dream for every family and for every young person in our state. And this is my way of giving back. This is my way of giving back because I love Illinois. I was born and raised here. We raised our 6 children here. I built businesses here. And I can't stand to see the way the career politicians and the machine is running Springfield into the ground, destroying our state. I won't tolerate it anymore. My friends are leaving the state. They're moving out. They're moving to Indiana. They're moving to Tennessee. They're moving to Texas. They're leaving. And a lot of my friends have said, Bruce, you should bring your businesses with you and come with us. Come move to where there's better opportunity. And I say, no, absolutely not. I love Illinois. This is home. This is my home. This is your home. This is our home. And we will not let our home be damaged by these career politicians anymore. This is our time. We've got to fight to restore our home. This is my time to give back. I'm not going to take a salary. I'm not going to take a pension. I'm coming here to work out of love of the state. And we're going to do 4 things for every family in this state. We're going to restore free enterprise and business and capitalism in Illinois so we're creating jobs. We're going to make the government efficient and effective and transparent so we can reduce the taxes on working families in Illinois. We are going to invest heavily in education in every school district, in every school, up and down the state, in everywhere. Education is the most important thing we do together as a community. We need to invest in our schools and have them be world class. And then we need to rip this corruption, this patronage, this culture of cronyism. Pat Quinn, he's an extension of that. He likes to say he's a reformer. Bull. He's not a reformer. He did patronage for Dan Walker, who went to prison. That's how he got his start. He's part of the Blagojevich machine. He's got Blagojevich folks all over his administration. He's under federal investigation right now for cronyism and corruption. We got to rip that out. And we got to bring back folks who have expertise in government and are there for the right reasons to serve the people again. We're going to do that. We're going to bring back term limits so we got 8 years in office, and we're going to do redistricting reform so the voters pick their politicians rather than the politicians picking their voters. Evelyn and I are going to work for you. We're going to term limit ourselves at 8 years if the voters want us, but we're coming to Springfield. We're honored to go to work for you. This is our this is the year. We're going to transform our state. This is our election. Together, we're going to win this. And how we're going to do it? It's about getting out the vote. Democracy doesn't work if voters stay home. This is the challenge. This is a big issue. You know what? There are hundreds of thousands of voters in Illinois who don't vote in non-presidential elections. It's tragic because democracy needs all the voters, everybody to vote. That's critical. If voters come out and vote, we're going to win by a big margin. If voters stay home, the machine will run the process. and we can't allow that to happen. We've got to get our voters out. So please help us. Knock on doors. Make phone calls. We're going to try to put together the biggest ground game ever been done in the history of Illinois. Thank you for being part of that. But with your hard effort, with your volunteering, this is our year. I hope 9 years from today, I'm standing here with you in pride, looking back on our 2 terms in office, where we look back and say, wow, look at what we've done for the people of Illinois. We have a booming economy with multiple jobs for everybody who wants to work. We have the best schools in America, and we have a reduced tax burden on our hardworking families so they get to keep their take-home pay rather than shelling it out for wasteful government. Thank you all. Let's go win this election. Enjoy the rest.
Republican House Leader Jim Durkin. We just heard Bruce Rauner and the Republican team. What are your thoughts as we kick off the fall campaign?
Boy, this is enthusiasm on steroids, which I have not seen in all my years in the legislature. The crowd here is amazing. There is a buzz. You can feel it in the air. It is something that has been missing for a long time. It's back, and people sense victory, that we are on the verge of something great. Not only at the top of the ticket, but also down in the House and the Senate as well.
How's it look for the House races?
Very good. Very good. We have great candidates who are working very hard. Our polling shows us making great strides in some of these areas throughout the state of Illinois. Our job is real simple. Hold on to what we have and pick up a couple seats. When we do that, Bruce Rauner wins. The world will change in the Capitol. So we're being very measured, and we understand, we know where we're going to make our investment, but this is a process. But first and foremost, we've got to give Bruce Rauner the ability to govern. When we take Mike Madigan out of the supermajority, we'll get it.
How many seats, any estimation that you might pick up?
Anywhere from one to 6.
As you go around campaigning for candidates, aside from just what you hear here today, what kind of feedback are you getting from voters? What's the feedback? What's the temperature of the electorate?
You know, it was like in the presidential election of Obama and McCain for the Democrats. That's how Republicans feel. They want change and they're angry. But it's not just Republicans. There is a growing independent voter out there who wants to see the state live within their means and not continue to tax and run our businesses out of the state. There are disenfranchised Democrats who I've talked to in the west suburbs and in the city of Chicago who are going to be voting for Bruce Rauner this time around because they no longer want this one-party rule. Nothing has come from it. There's nothing to show of 10 years of the Democrats running both chambers and also the mansion. So they're desperate for change. They want checks and balances. That's what I'm hearing.
Jim Durkin, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Tom Cross, Republican candidate for state treasurer. You just heard the Republican ticket. You were one of them that were here at the state fair. What was your reaction to the crowd and what you're hearing as you campaign around the state?
One, the crowd was incredible. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement, an enthusiasm I haven't seen in a while. But look, as I'm going around the state, it's not just Republicans, but Democrats and independents alike are not happy with the direction of the state. They know the numbers are bad, whether it's the worst credit rating, bad unemployment, worst pension. And I think their anger escalates when they hear the Democrats saying, we're going to solve all these problems by just raising taxes even more. It's kind of a doubling down on failed policies, if you will.
And in your own campaign, what's resonating as far as the issues? Is it that? And well, let me leave it at there.
Well, one thing we've said is if we're the elected treasurer, we're going to insist on following the Constitution. We believe the treasurer's responsibility is to enforce the Constitution. We have a balanced budget section of the Constitution, and it hasn't been followed. And if we're fortunate enough to be elected treasurer, we're going to enforce that section of the Constitution. That means taking the General Assembly to court. We'll do that. Members of the General Assembly need to be held accountable. The leaders do, the governor does, and they shouldn't be above the law. People that watch this show have to follow the law. The other thing that's going on in our race is there's a great contrast. Our opponent was for the temporary tax, the permanent tax. He's for a service tax on haircuts, dry cleaning, yoga, property taxes, and people are not ready for more taxes.
When you talk about the Constitution, you're referring to the need for a balanced budget or what?
Mandate that we have a balanced budget. It's very clear that we're not to spend more money than we have, and that's been going on for a number of years.
Tom Cross, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
You're watching the Illinois Channel.